related to the point you're going to receive. And sometimes we understand you're going to miss it because some important reason. And you can review recording to make up for absence. And teacher will talk for 30, 45 minutes, and then they'll have a question and answer. And number 4, use chat room for interactive communication. Number 5, reward, very important. A lot of people ask questions about reward. Good attendance, reading book, homework assignment, and community service project. At the end of 13th session, we'll give you a chance to enter your points. Okay, Sister Yang will send everybody the link to enter your point. 10 points for consecutive attendance of 13th session. Consecutive, including if you miss, you review the recording. 10 points for finish reading the book of Everyday Greatness. 10 points for doing homework in any 13 sessions. And 50 points, and even funding, okay, if it's a good project, for community service project. Please understand, we're not talking about regular community service. We're talking about community service project. I'm going to elaborate a little bit later. Now, every point equivalent to $1. That's not bad at all. Okay, so total point will be redeemed as an Amazon gift card at end of the 26th session and the 52 sessions. Okay. Video will be recorded and posted in the YouTube under, hey, Pastor Lee, am I still right? UseCamp 2021 or is YCOZ or something like that?
UseCamp on Zoom.
Now, you're not required to submit your homework. However, if you want us to see your work, you can submit this link. I believe Sister Yan already sent a link to everybody. So please be sure to name it as a Gray State full name example. If you live outside of US, you can also use other full state. And we'll be glad to review your assignment, what you have done. And we'll give you an extra bonus point. We see a few very good ones, okay? It's a chance to accumulate more points. I would expect at least 5 bonus points for very good homework assignment on the Word document. This is a definition of project, based a complex, non-routine, one-time effort limited by time, budget, resource, and performance specification designed to meet customers' needs. Our customer now today is the people you want to serve. What's in the project? You have an objective, and you have a scope, and you have a timeline, and then you have, of course, the cost constraint. So this is the project definition. You can definitely search in the Google to learn what is a project, because in the future, you're going to have a lot of projects in your hands. Homework assignment number 1, I didn't document it last time. Let me document it here. Fully understand the definition of success and what it really means to you. What is talent? What is resource? What is God's glory? And what is God's kingdom? If I'm not wrong, it'd be very hard for you to answer this question. I believe it's also even hard for the adult to answer this question. So it's a good project, good homework assignment. You can work with your parents, brainstorming it, talk about it, Google search it. Unless you fully understand all the definition, you don't know what the success means. So don't wave hands on anything. Don't do hands waving on anything. Make sure you fully understand every detail. Praise the Lord. Last time we have a perfect answer from Angela Liu on definition of success. She said to use your full talent to the utmost capacity to glorify God and help people. I think this sentence is more concise and simpler and better even than my definition. So I give her 5 bonus points. And guess what? She's only 7th grade. Think about how impressive. I asked like 100 adults, I probably wouldn't give this answer. Wouldn't get this answer. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Angela, for giving us the answer. And you got 5 points, so keep in your record. Homework assignment number 2 is for today. And teacher Elaine is going to tell us her story in detail. I've known teacher Elaine for 8 years. I haven't heard her story in detail yet. Okay, I'm excited to listen to it. The homework assignment, what have you learned from teacher Elaine's story? What action do you want to take on your journey to be a successful person? So after you listen to the teacher Elaine's story, I think God will move your heart about certain specific point, certain specific lesson learned. And then God will move your heart to make up mind, say, I want to change my life by doing this. I want to change my habit by doing this. Oh no, I don't want to watch more video game, play more game. It's waste my time. And God give me something much better to do. Something like that. Whatever you want to do and document it. Again, we're going to review it. And one thing is for sure, I'm not going to just stingy about giving the bonus point and giving the reward.
Tell you my story. My name is Elaine Kung. Kung, you probably heard about Master Kung. So it's like Kung Fu or Master Kung in the Chinese history. It's Kung Fu Zi. So that's my husband's last name. You guys heard about Master Confucius? Yes? So I have worked for AT&T for 33 years. So that's when I met Uncle Ming, when AT&T moved us from New Jersey to Texas. Because as some of you probably know, our AT&T worldwide headquarters moved to Dallas a few years ago. And I have an organization named Call to Work. I'll tell you more about it next week. But today I'll focus on how I grew up, what my environment was like, and how my life has changed over the years. So right now I serve on 12 boards because I have retired, or the new word you're going to learn today is refired. I did not retire, I refire. I am on fire. After my work and my career, I am using my experience to help many people, and I'm busier than ever. I give about 20 some talks a month. So today I have 3. So this one is the first one. Then I have one at 1:30 talking about time management to the adults in Mandarin. Then at 5 p.m. Pacific, I have one talking to parents how to raise up teenagers, you all. Because I have taught children and teenagers for 30 years in our church, Sunday school. And I don't just teach every 3 months, I taught every single week for every year, so that I get to know the children, the teenagers, and build relationship with them. And some of my students became my friends, and they would invite me to their wedding. In fact, a student recently invited my husband and me to actually do the wedding for them. So we're still praying if they're able to go there in person to do that. And then I've been married for 35 years, and I have 2 children. You're going to see their pictures. So I'll tell you more about my life as we go in. And some of you are probably interested in what I study: electrical engineering and material science. Big words. Some of you probably know already. Feel free to put in the chat or stop me at any time to ask questions. Anyone of you interested in studying engineering? Yeah, I see your hand, Matthew. Great. So both teacher Ming and I study electrical engineering, and we both did semiconductors, you know, chips, those semiconductor integrated circuit in your computer, in your cell phone, and all these AI robots and things. So I started with that, and I'll tell you more about that later. So I graduated from Cornell University and Princeton University, and I do interviews for them for 21 years. If you apply to these schools in my area, I would be assigned to interview every year about 6 to 10 students per school. So I enjoy doing that. So I'm gonna start telling you about my story. Can you tell that looks like me? I've changed, haven't I? If you were gonna see this picture, you would never
Yes,
guess.
totally.
Huh?
Wait, is that where you actually lived?
I live in that, not exactly this location, but where we live looks like this. So this, guess what place this is in?
India,
Taiwan,
Nope,
Thailand,
nope,
China,
India.
nope.
Singapore,
Do I look like an Indian?
China,
Some part in China, name a city.
Somebody say Hong Kong. I think it's
Thank
Sally.
you. Yes,
Sally wants to say
Xinjiang.
Hong Kong.
Hong
Yeah.
Kong. Thank you. I was born in Hong Kong, and my family was homeless at one point, and then we have a friend who was so gracious to invite us to live in the squatters. Living in the squatter is better than living on the street. So we were glad. So we did not really live on the street. We lived from one relative to another relative. So we didn't have a home. The reason we didn't have a home was that our relatives who lived with us, there were 13 of us in a very small place. You know, Hong Kong's very crowded. Any one of you have been to Hong Kong? No?
Nobody. Yes.
Some people did. And Hong Kong is very crowded and very
Oh,
expensive.
one lived in Hong Kong before. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Two have the answer. Oh, quite a few. 3 now. Yeah.
Okay. So in Hong Kong, the houses are very small, very crowded, and very expensive. So these relatives, there were 13 of us live in a very small place, maybe about 400 square feet, 13 people. And they kicked us out because my father was in China, Guangzhou, and my mom took care of me and my sister by herself. And they kind of looked down on us and they kicked us out. So we were left homeless, and we would go from one relative to another relative to find a place to stay, until our friend who have a small tiny room in this squatter like this. So we were able to have a place to stay, a roof over our head. And you know, Hong Kong is tropical weather climate. It's often raining. So when it rained outside, inside also rained because there are holes here and there. So it's a very difficult childhood I grew up in.
How about typhoon? Typhoon come. What happened?
Oh yeah, a lot of typhoon. So we have typhoon rating from 1 to 10. 10 is the strongest. And then when we get up to 8, then we'll stop school. Like how when we have snow here. So it was difficult childhood. My mom worked in a textile factory. She's a seamstress. And
I was spending good days on.
huh? Okay, you can mute Uncle Meng if it's someone not asking questions.
Say, Lena, can you help them to mute it?
close your eyes and
This is what they were did.
Okay, please mute if you're speaking to someone else. Feel free to open your mic to ask questions. So it was difficult childhood, and yet I'm thankful because my mom worked very hard to take care of me and my sister, and very thankful that most families like this will put us into factories to work. There are many child labor in Hong Kong. My mom was very studious, and she's a girl, and you know, in the old days, parents emphasize and care more about boys, so they get education. So my mom didn't get the education that she would like. So she wanted to make sure that we, my sister and I, have the education. So she worked really hard, and we couldn't afford to pay for elementary school education. So I remember there's an elementary school teacher who was so gracious helping us. So I was able to stay in school because of teachers' help. My mom's continue to be determined to persevere. So this is now when I was in middle school, named True Light Girls College. They say college, but it's actually middle school. And you can see, can you tell which one is me in the, it should look more like me now. So the 4 people, which one is me? No guesses?
Number 1, you say most left?
The one on the most left?
Yeah.
You guys agree? Yeah, that looks like me now, right? More like me. So actually, so the person on the right, you already see my picture, so that's already giving away. So you can tell. Can you tell I was very intense? So I was in the competition. I was probably next to the captain, and I was very intense. So I was a very intense person, very driven, because my family's so poor. And you see in the picture on the right, what's the difference? What are the other schoolmates doing? And what was I doing? I was very competitive. I just want to be number one. I want to be the first to finish my homework. I was very selfish, arrogant, me, myself, and I was just thinking about me to be number one. So that's how I was on my own ability, want to be number one. And my name Elaine was not given by my parents because they don't know English. And they gave us a Chinese name, of course. So I just randomly picked from a dictionary. So I didn't want to be like Mary or Jane. So I apologize if there's a Mary and a Jane, because I think it's too simple. So I just picked Elaine, random. Guess what Elaine means? After I became a Christian, after I came to America, I went to a Christian bookstore. What do you think Elaine means? So this is the interaction part. You see,
Slides, I think there they see the slides on the screen.
yes. Wow. So for those
Right.
60-some% of us, we know as a Christian, we need to be light. So to me, that was amazing. I have many pleasant surprises, pretty much almost every day. And they're big ones like this. I randomly picked the name Elaine and it means light. And God has such a good sense of humor. So that's how I was in middle school. And that school actually, True Light, you see the same name, meaning as my name, was a Christian school. So we studied the Bible, but I thought the Bible was a fairy tale. I did not think about reading the Bible except to get good grades. So I study hard to get good grades. And I work really hard to be the head of the class. And then friends, Christian friends would invite me to go to church and I would be very rude. I say, I'm not going to waste my time. You can go waste your time. I'm going to study hard and be the best student. You know, in my heart, I say, I want to beat you. You know, I want my grades to be better than yours.
Hey, teacher Elaine,
yes.
how hard did you study during the high school time?
Yeah, so I studied so hard that I would stay up late. And later on, my father joined us. So this is my father. And now we have come to America when I was going on to senior year. I studied so hard that in our family, my grandma stayed with us. And then my brother was born. So there are 6 of us in a small place, about 200 square feet, 6 of us. So everyone would be sleeping. I would either study inside the toilet, and the toilet is a tiny little place with a hole in the ground. So I would put a chair, little stool on top of that hole so I don't make sure I don't fall. And I would study inside the toilet in the light. Or I would study inside my blanket with my flashlight. So I was really workaholic. I'm still workaholic. So study very hard, long hours. And I remember if I didn't do well, I would cry because I was so self-centered and self-confident. So did I answer your question, Uncle Ming?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I think this is what, we'd like to know more about you.
So that was me. So senior year in high school, we moved. The same friend who helped us and gave a place to stay in the squatters helped us again. They came to America a few years before we did. And then they went to Maryland. They started Chinese restaurant business. And they were able to take advantage of a very special policy in the early 80s, just available during that time, miraculous that God used that policy and allow us to come to America. And if I were not coming to America, my life would be very different. I may not even be a Christian. I would not have gone to college. I probably worked in a factory. So it's really miraculous, the story, how it unfolds and it continues. So the same friend helped us use the policy, consider us as refugees. So because of our situation, how poor we were, and because my father was in China, many different conditions, we met those conditions in a miraculous way. And we were approved to move from Hong Kong to the state of Maryland. I know some of you are from Maryland, and took on the refugee status. And then my family all work in this Chinese restaurant while I went to school. So you see me graduating from high school after studying 1 year of high school here in Maryland. And my sister and I were the only two Asian in the whole school, a few hundred students. And it was very difficult for us to learn the language, to learn the culture. And we're very thankful they're friendly friends, like this lady next to us, this fellow senior graduate, very kind to us. So we have a lot of adjustment. It was not easy. Also, preparing to apply for college. So my English was struggling. Guess what my SAT score was? So type into the chat and see Uncle Ming can tell me some answers. My math was high and my verbal was very poor. So guess some numbers. So back then we didn't have the third component, writing.
1400, 1300, 1600.
So that's the total. That's the total, right? So what's my
total.
math? What's my verbal? So I was pretty good in math. I actually taught my calculus teacher how to teach a class on calculus. It was very.
What's what I think the full score is what? 800 and 800?
Yes.
Okay, total is 1600. Okay,
Yes.
at that time. Yeah,
Yes.
because this time is different now. So they say you have 800 math, 300 English.
Pretty close. So I got 750 math. My SAT 2 math was 800. And then my verbal was 450. So my total score was 1200.
So
It was
if they got it right, 800 math, 500 reading. Yeah.
pretty close. So I ended up not getting into any good school. I got rejected by Johns Hopkins and other universities because that's in Baltimore near us. So I ended up going to University of Maryland, a state university, and I ended up getting pretty much 4.0 GPA. And after 2 years, God opened door for me to go to Cornell. So I'll tell you that part of the story in a little bit. So
hold on, let me interrupt a little bit. I'm
Yes.
trying to make sure everybody understand. The one who live in the slum area doesn't know English and come here had to become AT&T director. So this is a journey, I would say 10 times harder than the journey you have now. You're born here, you have an easy life, and you must be able to accomplish a lot more than Teacher Elaine. Do you agree? So this one I'm trying to make this point, okay. Compare with the past and the future, you should accomplish 10 times more than Teacher Elaine can accomplish.
I'm so proud of you. I'm excited to see how you can accomplish so much more.
Amen. Yeah.
Thank you, Uncle Ming, for getting that recap. So now I have about another 5-10 minutes, and then we want to make sure we end on time, and I'll continue next time. Teacher Ming said go slow to make sure we get it. So it's a long story. So it's only the beginning, and it's actually a Cinderella story. You're going to meet my Prince Charming very soon. So now I'm going to share with you. I was like a frog inside a well. Have you heard of this idiom? It's a very famous Chinese idiom. Because you know, Hong Kong is very crowded. So I was like a frog. All I saw was people, people, and people, and very poor. So I thought the world was so small. I thought I am in charge of my world. That's why I didn't want to believe in any God. I want to work hard based on my own time investment and my intelligence. I study hard all by myself. So I was very much like a frog in a well. Guess what? After I came to America, it felt like I was a frog in the well and I jumped out of the well into the light. After coming to America, I saw the world was so big. Wow. Because I was so ignorant and negligent. I was so narrow-minded. I thought the world is just as big as Hong Kong. Other places, I don't know much. And then after I came to America, my Christian friends in high school in Hong Kong said, Elaine will pray for you. And I said, you don't even know the struggles that we are going through. so difficult to go to school, not understanding what people are talking about. And people may laugh at us. And even today, some of us may even get comments about, oh, you must be good at math. Oh, you got slanted eyes. You know, recently I gave a few talks about how to handle those comments. And someday we can talk about this topic if you're interested. So it was very difficult. I said, you've never been here. How could you pray for me? And then day by day, struggle by struggle, I realized and I came to think, wow, maybe, just maybe, the God that my friends in Hong Kong pray to actually heard their prayer. This God may watch over them in Hong Kong, and this God may exceed time and space and watch over me here in America, even though we have 12 hours difference in time zone. But this God may just be able to exceed time and space and heard my friend's prayer, because I can feel the difference when they pray for me. And I was so encouraged. They would write me letters, they would send me books, and they truly pray for me. And this is the beginning of my Cinderella story. And in Chinese, Cinderella story is 神话故事. Shen means God. So it's actually God's word coming alive in my story. It's God's story. So I was very science-minded. Many of you are, love studying science. You probably recognize many of these famous names, right? So that's why I study engineering, because I love math and science. And I was saying, how could a Christian and a scientist connect? How could we possibly, study science and believe there's a God? And then I went and researched all these famous scientists. You guys know. Who do you recognize? These are all famous scientists, right? Newton, of course, we should know. Newton's 3 laws in physics. Galileo in astronomy. Pasteur, we have milk because of Dr. Pasteur, that we can pasteurize our milk. So he's famous in microbiology. Michael Faraday is the father of electromagnetism. You're going to learn about how current is generated because of magnetic force. And Mendel was expert in genetics. And Euler is a mathematician. Paget is famous in disease study. And Linnaeus in biology. And Professor Cui was my professor from Princeton. He got a Nobel Prize in physics. He taught me physics at Princeton. He also graduated from a high school in Hong Kong, which is a sister high school with my high school. Small world.
What is his last name? What is the Chinese name?
Cui Qi.
Oh, Cui Qi.
Yeah. So he graduated from Peizheng, and I graduated from Zhenguang. So Peizheng and Chulai are 2 sister schools. Since in China, these schools had long time history. So all these scientists, guess what they have in common? Other than they are being famous and successful, they are all Christians. Wow, I said, how could these famous scientists are much smarter than me could be Christians? So they believe in God? And then I realized, and then I got to know this, my favorite scientist, Mr. Pascal, and you've heard about him. He's so famous in so many areas. He's a physicist. Pascal is the unit of our pressure. When you study physics and pressure, the unit is Pascal. Newton per square foot is the unit for pressure. For those of you who are studying physics, you know what I'm talking about, right? Newton is, of course, Mr. Newton on physics, means the force, the weight, divided by square foot is Pascal. That's your pressure. Force per unit is your pressure. So he's famous physicist. He was very famous studying vacuum. He's expert. Not only was he a physicist, he was also a mathematician. You guys know Pascal theorem.
It's Newton per square meter, not square foot.
Meter and foot are different units. Also
Yeah.
length. So it could be Newton per square foot or Newton per square meter. Because
Yes, but Newton per square meter is Pascal, and
Oh,
Newton per square foot is a totally different unit.
let's look into that. I'll check into it. If other people have some input, let's confirm and check on it. I believe Pascal is, so let's look into it. Because feet and meter are also measuring what?
Length.
Length,
But
exactly.
length, but they're measuring a different amount of length.
Yes, they're different units. So let's go check it. Thank you for bringing that up. So he's a famous physicist. He's a famous mathematician. He had the Pascal theory named after him. And then for older people like me and Uncle Ming and Dr. Lee, we remember the Pascal programming language named after Pascal. And then he's also a philosopher. He had many philosophy named after him, like Pascal Wade. So you just do Google on Pascal and look at the wiki on Pascal. You read about him. But not only that, he's also a theologian. What's a theologian? Who knows what a theologian is? What are they good at? What's a theologian? Any answer, Uncle Ming?
Not yet.
So this is my last slide, and I'll continue my story next time. No one knows what theologian is? Not even my junior and senior high students?
Like
No one knows
study of the Bible.
That's right. Study.
Study religion.
Not right on the screen.
Study religion.
Yes, Daniel, please do not write on the screen. Thank you. So study of religion is a theologian. So study of Bible would be a Christian theologian. So he's a theologian. I just couldn't believe it. In fact, anyone know what country he was born in? Because my husband and I visited his country and we went around to go find his tombstone. You know, all famous people have famous tombstone. Anyone know what country he's born in? Any answer, Uncle Ming?
No.
Come on.
France is to say France.
That's right. He's a French scientist. So he said this one statement that changed my life. He said, let's all read this statement together. And it's our last thing, and then we'll close. Because we want interaction. I really hope to see more camera turn on like Matthew and more responses, whether typing it in or talking it out. So let's read this together. He said, 1, 2, 3. There is a God-shaped vacuum in the heart of every person, and it can never be filled by created things. It can only be filled by God, made known through Jesus Christ. Wow, that blew me away, because I remember when I was growing up, even though I was among friends having fun, I remember there were moments that I felt lonely, I felt empty, I felt lost. And he's a vacuum expert, and he said, this vacuum is in everyone's heart, and it cannot be filled by any created things. Money, riches, big houses, fancy cars, love, family, degrees, jobs, big houses, all those cannot fill this vacuum. Because why not? What is the shape of the vacuum?
It's empty. It doesn't have a shape.
It's in the shape of God.
God shapes. Yeah, I think you fair answer. God shaped. Yeah.
Yes, God-shaped vacuum. Only God can fill. And that really blew me away. And that started my journey of seeking what it means to become a Christian. So I'll stop here and I'll continue next time.
Wow.
It's a long story.
Yeah.
Can you I have a question? Can you screen share about the people you should be, and there's also 2 squares where you should show that the people you shouldn't be.
Say that again.
So that means like last time you share screen successful people and messed up people. Can you like show that screen again?
Oh, so Uncle.
I'll do that. I'll do that. Okay, hold on.
Thank you for asking. Yeah, we really encourage you to participate because you're young people. We should be talking, typing, and really like to see your screen. So all of the time right now, we saw mostly Yufei, my neighbor. I'm going to meet with Yufei next week. I'm looking forward to that. And
Yeah, these ones.
Hold on.
Yes, we saw it.
Yeah. Okay. So this
Thank
is
you, Evan.
yeah. Okay. So the again, and this definition of success. Remember the homework number 1, and talk to your parent about the talent, resource, glory, his kingdom, and definition of success. And number 2, homework assignment is what did you learn today? And what kind of action do you want to take for a better person, more successful person in your journey of life? Okay, I think praise the Lord. Last time we have close to 100 people. This time we're close to 70 people. I think we're like a spiritual SEAL team training. Okay, we're gonna flank one by one a little bit, and we'll see how many left at the end of the year.